Hey there, fellow creators. Ben here from Cinder Studios, and this is sort of my starting segment for the next studio vlog. But I'm recording it well in advance of probably the next several segments we'll do. But tomorrow's Halloween, and I got a pumpkin to carve, so I figured I'd record some of that. There's my pumpkin. Now I did the whole design with Sharpie, and you might be thinking, oh crap, it's going to look terrible. Well, lucky for me,
I'm a botanist.
and I know how to do stuff. And I know that rubbing alcohol takes Sharpie marker off of smooth surfaces. So, we can just erase those, and no one will be the wiser. Alright, there's our candle preview. I think it looks pretty good. Pretty similar to what I did last year, but yeah, looks nice.
2 weeks later.
Good morning. It is Saturday, about 7:45, or the 13th of November, because I just remembered I started this vlog a couple of weeks back when I carved a pumpkin. And I actually, another one of these Saturdays, but I had kind of limited time to work in the studio. But I'm going to try to keep you updated, you know, for this vlog, for stuff I'm doing today and stuff I'm doing throughout the course of the day, and then this video will probably go up Sunday. Big news first. After 6 years of working in the healthcare system, I'm quitting my job. Now, I'm not quitting my job to do art full-time. Unfortunately, I don't have that kind of financial backing from my fans and my my collectors at this point in time, but certainly am making more now than I ever have before in my art, which is a good thing. What I am going to do is I'm going to be taking a job a little bit further away than I'm used to, at least in terms geographically from where I live. And I'm going to be doing a similar sort of inventory job that I have been doing, but for a different company on a lot smaller scale. But the company works differently. The company itself manufactures fluid control systems for anything from water treatment to industrial chemicals. And personally, I find that way more interesting than what I'm doing now. And there's a lot more opportunities for advancement and to get into positions that I think in most cases would probably require a 4-year college degree, which I do not have. So I'm very excited. I put in my 2 weeks notice Thursday on was that Columbus Day, because I had to work, because where I currently work, we don't get every single holiday off, even though we should. So the couple of the good things happening with the new job is, one, I will never have to work weekends ever again. They don't work weekends. So you're not going to see me on, at least unless I'm doing an evening thing, on a Tuesday or a Thursday anymore, and you're not going to have I'm not going to have an issue with, oh, things and I got behind because I'm working this weekend. Not going to happen. Also, no holidays. Now, I didn't work every holiday. It was like one a year, but I also only got, there were only like 6 holidays in our rotation, 6 or 7. versus I think the 9 that are technically in the calendar year, at least in terms of days they can give you off. So, yeah, so I'm excited for that. I'm still going through some of the pre-screening stuff. They're finishing the background checks. And the other thing today, which is why my studio times were limited, is in 2 hours, I have to go for a drug test. So, let me talk about what I'm doing today in between that stuff. I also have to go to my parents' house sometime this weekend, too. So I think I talked about this project a little bit and maybe worked on it a little bit in the last vlog. But this is the custom deck board that I'm making for my cousin, which, given my given how fast/slow I'm working on this, I came up with this idea in like the end of summer. It's probably going to be a Christmas present at this point. So I got it. I have sort of an interesting base down. I have sort of these scale type things going on in 3 different colors. So I got the white, black, and gray. From this side to this side, or one to the other, I'm doing lines around them, so you can already see that the white ones have a little black line around them. The gray ones are going to have an inner white line that's thinner, and then a black line around that. And then all the black dots are going to have a white line around it. Part of me kind of wanted to just keep it the white over that, because I think that looks better. But I kind of started doing it this way on this side, so I was like, well, now I have to do the whole thing. I mean, I could just paint over them at this point, but the gray was a mixed gray, and I probably can't replicate that at this point. So I just have to roll with it. So luckily, since I don't have a ton of time this morning before going for the test, I'm just going to sit here with the paint markers as I've been doing and work on this. Okay, so that's turned out a little better than I thought it would. I knew as soon as I got the white lines over the black, things would pop out a little more, and I was right. So that looks pretty solid. Now, from here, I also tossed in the first white section in the middle here. I've got pretty much free reign to do whatever I want with this project. So I was like, hey, I want to make this thing for you. Do you have any input? He's like, nah, do whatever you want. I'm like, okay, cool. But I have been sending him pictures along the way and progress and things like that. But the last one I sent him was this. So I want the jump from here to either be just him seeing it, the progression when I post it to Instagram, or just when it's done. Possibly both. So this was just really sort of a rough, something about towers crossing over the sun, fairly simple in my comfort zone kind of stuff. So I'm kind of interested to see what I want to do with this, because I don't know yet. I have no idea what I want to do with color. So I put down a layer of the micaceous iron oxide as a base some time ago, and that's scattered around throughout, but doesn't go all the way to the edge of this inner black shape. I'm debating whether or not to do a night scene, or whether to just kind of build out some different color in here. I'm kind of leaning towards doing a night scene, because the colors specifically for night stuff tend to be a little bit more interesting, at least compared to some of the other stuff I do. So I'm going to probably set this aside, though, for now and just let myself think about this a little bit more. May end up taking a picture of this and doing some Photoshop stuff and just hashing out the concept that way, because that'll probably end up being a little easier, but that's as far as I'm going to work on it for now. Okay, so as soon as I put this thing aside and looked at it, I know exactly what I want to do next. I don't like this inner shape. It's too defined, and I don't like it. Also, I want to push the height of this a little bit more. I kind of decided to stay in between the spots for the wheel holes. Now, this is going to be purely decorative, but I don't like the fact that this inner shape is defined whatsoever. So I'm actually going to take the micaceous iron oxide and just fan this whole thing out and cover a lot of the up and down shapes and a little bit more of my side shapes, more so than I had originally intended. Because I looked at this and I was like, wait a minute. As soon as I kind of came in here with these lines, it was like I'm just making up where these shapes are, or where the lines are supposed to go. So I don't like that. So now all these little blobs in the first place, I did with a palette knife. Same thing with application of all this, which is why they looked sort of abstracty like they do. So I'm taking this and I'm gonna just fan out. I thought about doing it with a brush. But I want to stick with the knife for the sake of continuity, at least for the base. Yeah, and I'm just gonna push this shape out a bit more to give myself a little bit more room to work and a little more freedom in that way. Because the design is really going to be the landscape and not necessarily all the little scale shapes. Okay, so despite that covering up the bulk of the work I've already done, I think I've got a much better surface to work on now. So I still have a little bit of those shapes on the tops and bottoms, a few on the edges. All of the work I did in there are completely gone now. But this is a lot, I feel like it's a lot more room to work with for a better composition. And I think overall it's going to make the piece really stand out a bit more. Alright, so the other thing that I'm doing this morning is painting over some old art, old canvases, in order to reuse. Now, I'm not going to show you guys which ones I'm painting over, primarily because I don't want anybody screaming at me in the comments. Why would you destroy that? Probably because, one, never anyone was interested in buying it, and two, and that's actually the bulk for a lot of these, most of these are at least 5 or 6 years old. So they've been sitting in my inventory for a really long time, gathering dust. No one's really been that interested in them, and at a certain point, if you saw my Instagram thing from I think about a month ago, 3 weeks or something like that, at a certain point as a professional, you just have to start making decisions of what do you want to keep, what do you consider your best works, and if there's anything that you can afford to lose, go ahead and lose it, because at this point the canvases, and I have more upcoming ideas right now than I have canvases to work on, and because I don't want to hit the store at this point, because I'm kind of over budget from getting all the books printed. I just have to paint over a few. Okay, so the last one I decided to just unstretch. I didn't want to completely paint over it. So now I've got a whole lot more canvases ready to go. Also, I can't remember if I brought this up the last time, but I got these on clearance. So I'm probably going to do a couple of paintings that are like a series of 3 or something like that at some point. So yeah, I've got a couple more drawing, but I've got 10 minutes. My alarm is about to sound, so I got to get to getting this test done. So quick change of clothes, out the door, hopefully back within an hour. so I can get back into the studio, and we should be good. Okay, so my drug test took 15 minutes, but I figured since I was out of the house, I would stay out of the house and do some other stuff. So, decided to wander over to the exchange since it's like right there, and browse around, see what I can find, maybe some kind of an old game or something. And I was right, I found something that I wasn't even looking for, but I decided, let's pick it up. And that is Tales of Symphonia on the GameCube. Actually, I haven't bought a GameCube game probably since the last one I bought, which would have been Twilight Princess 15 years ago. So I played the first game in this series, Tales of Fantasia, on an emulator because that original game was never released in the US until way later, as I think on the DS, and I never played the handheld, so yeah, so pretty interesting. Also, I opened this up, and it's actually a 2-disc game, which is pretty much unheard of on the GameCube era stuff. A lot of PS1 games had that. A lot less often the further down the road you go. So very excited for this sometime in the future on my own time. And since I was also out, I was like, let's go to my parents' house now. So I hung out with them for a while. I got a bunch of deer meat because they're pushing it. They're like, well, we've got 100 pounds of deer meat. Take some. And I'm not going to pass that up because it's great for burgers and meatballs and probably going to use it for chili, which is normally what I use that for, or what I use ground meat for in general. So I'm going to get this stuff, with the exception of smoky sticks, in the freezer and have lunch, because at this point I actually have not eaten anything today, so I'm going to do that. Okay, so had my bite to eat. And I don't think, because I'm still thinking about color for the skateboard project, so I'm going to let that sit. And it's early enough in the day that I could get started on something, but I'm probably not going to. But I do want to, I think, at least prep a project that I can start on more so tomorrow. So I think I'm actually going to grab one of these other canvases that I just sewed this morning and coat it with white. The black was mostly just to cover the heavier stuff, and to get the original pieces out of the way. But one layer of gesso is not going to work on a piece that I'm covering up. I figure a lot of them are going to end up being white canvases again anyway. So I think giving these couple other canvases a coat of white would be probably the best thing, I'm thinking. And after I do a few of those, I'll kind of see what time it is and either jump into my games for the day or kind of see what else I have to do around the house. I'm not really sure. But yeah, I'm thinking just gessoing some canvases, prepping some projects right now is probably where I want to go. I'm not even sure what I want to work on right now. I grabbed this sketchbook with something I'd set aside a while ago, and I got a couple other ones floating around, but I'm not really feeling any composition in particular right now. That might change in the next couple hours, but yeah, just cleaning the studio up a little and prepping different projects and thinking about what I want to do next, because I really have not given it much thought this week. A lot of my thought this week was towards like putting in my 2 weeks notice at my current job and looking at stuff for the new one, so that occupied a lot of my mental state this week. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and work on stuff. Okay, I feel like that's probably a pretty good batch of stuff. Thought about those small canvases just at the end here. Working with doing something for Christmas. I haven't actually done a like Christmas specific painting in possibly ever. So I think doing like a red, like two canvases, the green one and a red one, and doing a similar Christmas type tree, pine tree with just snow and fairly minimal color, I guess you could say. So probably probably like just white, as just rather than going like white on top of black or white on top of a dark for the way I probably would normally do a snow-covered pine tree. Just using the white and playing with things like that, I think it'll be good for a little decorative thing for Christmas this year. It's way too many of these weeks lately where it's like, oh, it's Saturday, good time for a studio day. Oh wait, no, I've got all this other stuff to do. And sure enough, because I left the house in like prime studio time, it disrupted my mental state, and now I can't really work the way I want to. So short one this week. Next week probably gonna be the core watercolor review. Then a vlog. Then I actually have to very soon. I have to start planning out my December map, because I print out like 3 different calendars in order to map out all the stuff I have to take care of in December, which ends up being a lot more stuff than it should be. So yeah, I might do that later today. Is start looking at planning my December calendars. Okay, but that's what I'm doing outside of studio stuff. So we'll end the studio vlog for today. Thanks guys for watching. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button. Get subscribed if you're not already. This has been reminding you to keep on creating, and I will see you guys next time.